Are you going to have a haircut?
Dude.
Before you go on holiday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of, I don't know, man. It's kind of brutal. Now I'm real self-conscious.
I'm
We're about to shoot a
Look.
half an hour to 45-minute podcast. Hold on. Is that what you want? Do you want to pick? Is this what you want to pick a fight on about? Is this what do you want to go right now?
Listen.
Why?
You're definitely going to trim it, sir. Are you going to have a haircut?
Yeah. Yeah. That's.
And then all the comments will be like, yeah, tell him to get a haircut.
No. What do I need to cut to make that an evil statement, Ash? I don't need to cut anything.
All I'm saying is it's getting warm.
It was a loaded attack.
It's getting warm,
mate.
and you have a winter beard going on.
Yeah.
And it's time to trim it out. Let yourself be free.
Yeah.
Looking sharp, ready for Paris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll strike two, man.
Hey, thank you so much for supporting everything we do. But just before you go anywhere, before you get to the next part, please do subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. We're slowly gathering our subscribers, and we're watching that every single day. That counts us. So as soon as you do, we're going to have a mini celebration in the office. So don't forget to do that. Cheers. Look. You got 30 minutes of Brutal Ash, and then I'll go back to...
Oh, okay, sick. All right, I can't wait for that. All right, let me do a quick sound check.
You know that filter we were talking about?
Yeah, it's gone. I'm so excited.
Or like minimize.
I haven't seen this in forever. I catch glimpses of it.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah. Okay. I want to talk to you about a certain marginalized community.
Yeah.
So we get views when we offend people. So let's go. There's a marginalized community out there that is just getting super vocal. I'm getting really, really fucking sick of them.
Okay.
I'm just like, whenever I scroll Instagram, I just hear yippity yappity yippity. And personally, what I wish upon them is that every night when they go to bed and they flip their pillow, that side is also warm. I hope every time they eat their favorite food, they get food poisoning. I'm getting really sick.
Okay, that second one was brutal. I got the pillow.
Yeah, I'm getting really sick of this marginalized community. And this community likes to identify as Wes Anderson fans. Okay. He's trending again on social media, right? And it's driving me mad.
Okay.
Like, I genuinely get angry when I see this.
Who is Wes Anderson?
He's a filmmaker.
Okay.
He's this... Basically, there's loads of fantastic filmmakers, but for some reason, everyone with a mustache, a mullet, and denim dungarees is like, we love Wes Anderson because he puts everything in the middle and he uses pastel color palettes.
Now that you said dungarees, even I'm against them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Not just dungarees, denim dungarees.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I don't know, man. There's so many great filmmakers out there in the world. There's so many of them that make really engaging stories that you follow, that you latch onto.
Yeah.
And he's the worst storyteller ever because he uses pastel colors and everything. It really gets to me, this. Do you know what I think really bothers me, though?
Yeah.
Is back at university, every single essay or presentation or anything that I ever had to do, I would spend ages researching into the storytelling, the cinematography, and I would essentially look into filmmakers like Spike Jonze. I'd look into Quentin Tarantino, Scorsese, all of these, and I would get mediocre marks. I'm not the best writer, so I understand why my essays got mediocre marks, but then I realized that everyone with a mustache and a mullet was coming in and going, we love Wes Anderson. Right. He puts the things in the middle and his colors are pastel. Do you love Wes Anderson like I do? And then they would instantly get a first. And it used to drive me mad. And I've carried this hate to this day.
To this day, yeah. And where are those people? What are they doing?
I hope not well.
Yeah. Okay.
I genuinely hope not well.
All right.
I hope I hope they don't have a career. Because, by the way, this isn't just
why do you think it is? Is it because you just don't like them for trying to be edgy?
Yeah.
Indie?
And that's the thing. Everybody on Instagram now is replicating his style. I think he's got a film coming out. So there is this 4-second dialogue that's like, what are you doing today? And they're like, I'm going to visit my family. And it's like, you better not make it a Wes Anderson movie. And it's like, dum, 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 and the music plays, and then it's like yellow text, pastel colors, and everything is in the middle.
Your feed is so different to mine. I've not seen any of this. I didn't even know who Wes Anderson was and never heard of his name. But
how I envy you.
Now it's going to be all over mine.
How I envy you.
Now it's going to be all over my feed.
Yeah, the phones have heard it now.
Yeah. Oh, dear. Okay.
That's the first thing. Actually, this is good because you seem to be quite vicious right now.
No, I'm all right.
Can I tame you with a beautiful thing I read?
Oh, okay, go.
All right. I'm just going to hide it from the screen. It's just, it's, huh? Yeah. It's something that I read, and I thought this was beautiful, and I thought it would contrast my rage somewhat beautifully as well. Okay. I'm going to read this out to you. I make my ramen the way a friend taught me in the 11th grade. Every fall, I listen to a playlist made for me by somebody I drove across a border to hook up with. I eat sushi because someone who won't talk to me anymore made me try it. And Indian food because my best friend's parents ordered it for me before I even knew what I liked. There are movies that I love because somebody I loved them first. I'm a mosaic of everyone I've ever loved, even for a heartbeat.
Wow.
It really
Yeah.
softened me up.
So essentially what you're saying is if you meet someone new and they love you.
No, I love them.
No, say they love you as well, hypothetically.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's like.
Say they love you.
Yeah.
Then they love everyone you've ever been in contact with.
Essentially, I
you.
guess, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Say that to all the psycho girlfriends out there,
Yeah.
if they exist.
Which one's that?
All of them. Tell them. Because they ain't going to like that. Yeah. Wow. That was
right.
deep, though. I liked it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Okay. Now that things have calmed down a bit, let's bring out Vicious Ash back.
No, but yeah.
Yeah, what do you want
Vicious Sam as well. I think you've been taming it a bit.
Yeah, no,
recently.
I'll attack. Can we just also say, for the sake of the well-being of this business, after this, we're all clear. We're all good.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going back to business.
I might swear at you a few times. I might get a bit violent.
Can we just say, we've not even spoken to each other today?
All day.
I think we said hi. Maybe.
If that. Yeah.
Good morning.
No, because I bumped into you in the car park, and there's a stranger's car in the car park.
Yeah.
So we're like, who's that? We didn't even say hi.
We just jumped straight into that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of those mornings, Monday morning. But the weather is good.
Weather is good.
Which makes us feel marginally better as British
people. No. The weather's not good. I've just picked our first fight.
Oh, okay.
Fuck this weather. Do you prefer hot or cold climates?
This isn't hot.
Huh?
This is warm.
What temperature is it?
21.
Too much.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. If I could cap
the majority of the world is warmer than this. Probably.
Yeah, I'll go to the minority of the world.
Really?
Yeah, what? Okay, tell me this.
Yeah.
Right? You're going out with your missus.
Yeah.
What would you rather? Would you rather go in a t-shirt and you go into the restaurant, or you go for a picnic? Oh, it's all lovely.
Yeah.
You go for a picnic and then you stand up and you have to peel your legs off of your legs because you've been sweating.
Okay.
You're self-conscious about your smell. There's stuff all up in your face.
Yeah.
Or do you want to wear a nice sweater and a nice jacket, go out for a meal, and then come home not sweating, not bitten 1,000 times by mosquitoes?
I want both, Sam.
What?
I want.
How do you have both?
Seasons.
Yeah.
You live in Britain, where everything's just like this.
Yeah.
Nothing's amazing. Nothing's really bad. It's just in the middle.
I mean, this shit, we get 4 seasons a day.
In my opinion, the viewers can't see this, and they're probably watching this at a different period in time to where we are at the moment.
Yeah.
But it is May. Why did I say June? It's the end of May.
Yeah.
And the weather is outstanding outside.
Yeah.
It's not too warm, and it's not too cold. You can walk around in a t-shirt, but you won't feel too bad.
Yeah.
It doesn't get better than this, and I think this makes all the rubbish weather that we have in the UK absolutely worth it. All that rain, that's just
You saying this shit balances it out?
Yeah, in my opinion. Not for one day, but 3 or 4 days of this
overall,
weather.
people come up to you and say, how's the weather in Britain? And you're like, yeah, it's pretty good, because we get 3 days of sun.
Yeah, because I've seen other places, and it is too warm.
Where?
You go anywhere. Okay, you go to the US. Things are extreme there. They go from 30 to 40 degrees to chaos snow.
Love it.
What's the snow here? It's how much there?
Yeah.
Yeah. There it's you just can't get anywhere.
Right.
You are literally snowed into your house. It all sounds good, but it's just long. It is effort, and you just want to live.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the heat. You're talking about this being warm.
Yeah.
You go to the US, you go to New York, you go to LA. Too warm for you, I'm afraid.
I wouldn't last in LA. I genuinely wouldn't.
This is it, yeah. And even New York gets very, very warm.
Does it?
Yeah.
Is it like London where it's just like beaming off the buildings and then you just...
Exactly,
Essentially, you're in an oven because you got the big windows blasting down at you and just melting.
And it gets extreme. Yeah. We're really protected in the UK. Everything's like okay. I mean, we have one day where it gets to like 34 degrees and everyone's kicking off.
I did not like that.
It's like, yeah, exactly,
like
yeah. Whereas in I think you go to Dubai, it's a cold day.
The thing is, though, Dubai is like prepared for that. Like everything is air conditioned in Dubai.
Yeah.
Whereas here, everything is designed to retain heat. So I'm just melting away in my flat.
Yeah. Honestly, you can't. The climate doesn't get better than this, in my opinion. Okay. There are very few places in the world.
That's wild. That's a wild statement.
And everyone hates on the UK. But
even all that rain. I like the rain, but that's too much rain.
What that we have here?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it means that we don't have droughts. We actually have good water. You know, we stop having rain.
Yeah.
And then the news is saying that we've got droughts coming left, right, and center.
That's a good point. So what, like Austin, Texas, or something like that?
They suffer.
Do they?
Yeah, and they have.
I know very little about
issues
this.
like hurricanes. When did we have a hurricane here?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, we probably will these days because of the way things are going. But we're blessed.
Yeah. Do you remember regular? Not regular, but like a fair few earthquakes.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you were a kid. Like in the UK, I feel like it happened a couple of times.
Yeah.
Did you remember that?
Yeah, but what are they, like mini tremors or something? Yeah. I slept through all of them. I sleep through everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just remember sitting down and just going, that was weird. Yeah.
Yeah, a little
bum shuffle.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Do we?
Is the UK a good place to live?
Hi there. If you've made it this far, then please make sure to like and subscribe, and most importantly, comment. Let us know what you think. We're seeing more and more people watching this podcast. We're very excited by that, and we want to hear what you have to say. And subscribe. Thanks for watching. No.
Okay. Tell me why.
No, I don't like it. No, it's all right, let's turn down the fighting element because I do want to... This is a really good question, and I do want to actually put together some rational thoughts around this. It is a fantastic place to live.
Okay.
For a few different reasons, but I think it is declining. That's my problem with it. And I think I like it because I understand it. Everybody, if you express that you don't like the UK, everybody will always be quick to ask you, so why don't you leave?
Yeah.
And the one thing I often say is because I understand the UK. I understand the weather. I understand the tax system. I understand what it takes to buy a house. I understand X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So I feel like I've built a foundation of knowledge that I can actually do things with. And then when you move to another country, even things like the currency is different.
Yeah.
And then, your threshold for salaries, what you understand about salaries, completely different. What it takes to buy a house is buying a house the right thing to do if you move to somewhere like Germany. Sometimes it's better to actually rent in certain different scenarios. So yeah, it is a good place to live, but I think there's a lot of things that's happening in this country that I really disagree with.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, why? Do you think it's a good place to live?
I chop and change.
Okay.
Other than a very small amount of family, my immediate family living in the UK, I have no real connection.
Right.
There's I can probably count on my fingers how much family I have in the UK, and then everyone else is everywhere else. Obviously, you got friends and so on, but I really think about it and I put it under the microscope for the longer term. Obviously, for now and the way things are going and what we're doing at WP, this is the focus. But I'm thinking, what else is out there? You know, that curiosity sparks, just like everything. But I really struggle, and maybe this is part of me needing to travel to see more of the world, but from everything I've heard from different people living in different countries, I really struggle to find a place that has so much balance with things. Yeah. Let's take things, for example, political stability. Yes, we have had jokes of government before. You know,
hold on.
Yeah.
What do you mean by if anything, I would say that's one of the low points. Very unstable government here.
This is where we are. What's the right word? We're very entitled with what we have. You know, we think we have an unstable government because we haven't seen the rest of the world. Go to countries like Kenya, and you may say, "Oh, that's quite extreme." Kenya is pretty a normal country. You know, the government every day is changing the law. There's political instability, where politicians are facing corruption charges. Things are changing. They'll announce a new tax law tomorrow. You'll have whatever your business is built on. Say there's a certain government regulation that could change in a moment's notice. Yeah. Here, there's a lot more kind of set out law. There's structure.
Yeah.
There's fundamental structure. Yes, you may have a bit of a clown of a prime minister who throws a COVID party.
Yeah.
But on the whole, the actual regulation is pretty stable.
Right.
Things happened in COVID, but COVID was a strange time everywhere. You know, there was nothing was normal.
Can I follow up then? Because you've actually made a good case that the government is stable. But do you like the trajectory of which this country is heading in? That's my thing. I don't think I like that.
I just don't like the trajectory of the way the world's heading, to be
Okay,
honest.
fair enough.
Or certain things about governments is a bit of an issue.
Yeah.
But I am seeing positives.
What are you seeing?
I'm seeing certainly in the UK, with the latest government, they're not perfect by any means of the imagination, but there's a quest for more kind of less. Sorry, I'm really struggling with my words today. There's an idea to actually realize that government shouldn't be involved in all areas. You know, certain areas require privatization to be more efficient. Again, I look at other countries where they have many industries state-run, such as energy, so on, which makes sense in times of crisis, but actually leads to many inefficiencies and so on. Whereas this current government's realizing that certain things can't be managed by the state, and we need smaller state. So I like the idea of certain things of where that's going. And again, I'm just comparing it to other countries. I'm not saying things are perfect here, but I'm looking at other countries and I'm saying, well, thank God that's not going on here. You know, thanks so much that that's not taking place.
Any examples?
Okay, so I look at the Germany, for example. So the political government there, kind of very, very much, they've had a lot of issues in terms of kind of inflation issues recently, political issues. They're in a massive energy crisis that the UK didn't put ourselves in. You know, in terms of the reliance on Russian gas and so on. I'm dabbling between different areas, yeah, essentially what I'm
Let's
trying
talk about
to say.
that actually. Then. Energy. Why is Germany? Because funnily enough, when I was going to use a good example, I was going to go to Germany. Yeah. Like any time I've spent in Germany, there's just been something nice about it, and it feels like everybody trusts the government there. You know, just the way certain people behave. And to me, it feels like a very well-run country. Again, you're looking at it from a different eye to me, where I don't have necessarily the expertise in financials and things like that. But I do look at, you know, I went during relatively, just after lockdown was starting to ease and stuff like that. But I saw everybody follow the rules to a T. Yeah. There wasn't none of this stuff that I saw in this country of like just a mask dangling from your ear or not covering your nose. Not just the masks, but, you know, just how people respected all of the rules. And that led to, like, you can see the direct correlation between that and all the trains running on time. Or all of the, like, there's rarely any, like, annoying or obnoxious amounts of traffic. Yeah. You know, whenever you sat in a taxi, you were going to arrive at your destination a couple minutes either side of your ETA. Sure. There was never this like 4-hour hold up or anything. Yeah. I was only there for a week, so I could be talking out my backside. But that's a lot of sense. Example. But looking at it from your lens of somebody who kind of looks at, you know, they're in a really troublesome inflation place.
The UK is hardly one to talk, so I'm not saying the UK is perfect, but they are in troublesome area. Let's take energy, for example. They've heavily relied on Russian gas. They had a lot of pressure over the years from what is now coming out to be seen as oil lobbying, but it came from Greenpeace activists or so on, green activists, who suggested they shut down all their nuclear plants. They recently shut down their last nuclear plant that was going on in the UK, in Germany. Nuclear energy is one of the best sources of green, carbon-free energy sources in the world. Okay. Full stop. You know how you have wind and solar, very intermittent. Nuclear is fantastic, and that's where our future is. Germany was under a lot of pressure to look like it was doing the right thing. Nuclear's had a lot of pressure of, it's actually not good for you. It's one of the best sources of energy, and it will be. Why
did people think it wasn't good for you? I thought it wasn't good for you.
This is it. Because, firstly, oil, gas lobbies have said for so long that it's not good for you. Obviously, we've had the disaster of Chernobyl in Russia many years ago, or the Soviet Union, that led to a bad taste in people's mouths, when in fact that was a very isolated issue that was handled very badly. Right. But on the whole, nuclear energy is one of the safest forms of energy when done right, set up right. But over the years, there's been a political lobbying of saying it's bad, it's active. What is bad about it? Even the radioactive waste that's coming through, they've been analyzing is actually very minimal in its negative externalities to society. But yet, Germany as a whole decided they're going to start closing down all of these or decommissioning these nuclear plants.
Right.
And they're now struggling in one of the biggest energy crises ever. And they're apparently starting to look at turning back on coal power plants, which goes against everything.
Yeah, it's a reverse of what they said.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of this, in certain countries in particular, there's a lot of this greenwashing and looking like they're doing the right thing when you look under the cover and things aren't quite running the right way. So I'm picking on Germany, but I look at a lot of countries and I'm just seeing issues that I don't really relate to. Again, not saying the UK is perfect, but
would you argue it's better to live here?
Yeah, to a certain extent, I would. Again, this is where I voted to remain in the EU. Always, being a big believer that the EU was a great thing for the UK. But I'm starting to warm to the idea that we're differentiating ourselves from the rest of Europe.
Okay.
A lot of what Europeans do, they do together as a union, but often you're dragged into someone else's fight.
Right.
Like Italy's fight over keeping tomatoes restricted in Europe so that it protects its own industry, even though it's not your fight. And the European Union represents that, and that is good because on the same token, the UK will benefit from something in reverse.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing more of the idea that being free of that leads to the UK deciding its own laws and regulation and so on.
Yeah, I don't think I had too much issue with that. It's just that it's not being left to the UK. It's being left to a government that I don't know if I. I know that I don't trust.
Which is why we need less state.
Yeah,
we need less government over time, which will happen. Government should always be there.
Yeah,
but it shouldn't be involved in so many industries. See, the very same people that say, I don't trust the government. You'll never trust a government. Even if the party that you want comes to power, you won't really fully trust them because there are going to be people in that party that, or in that cabinet that you don't trust and, people that are out for their own agendas. So regardless, whoever you politically are assigned to, you'll never be happy.
Yeah.
But yet those same people will say, the government should just come in and buy the energy companies out and just make sure that they state run them.
Right.
When in fact that goes against everything they're commenting on because they're saying, well, I don't want the government to be, monitoring this because I don't trust the government. No, you should be leaving it up to the free market privatization.
Do you want to get real controversial?
Yeah, okay.
The NHS.
Yeah.
Should it stay or should it go?
Don't think it's up to me. It's doing its own thing of going.
It's going.
Yeah,
it seems to be.
It has. Yeah, it's not sustainable. No. Morally, the NHS is one of the greatest things ever created. The right to healthcare and the ability to have healthcare, regardless of where you come from. Fantastic. Yeah. What a great idea, and it has worked for so many years. But that has led to consequences and inefficiencies that were bound to happen. I know, everyone that I know that works in the NHS just talks about how much waste happens in the NHS. Yeah. They'll be using some paper and then they'll just, waste paper from the other side. That little things that would never happen in a private business or a business that's just incentivized to look at its bottom line. Because why should they? Why should a junior doctor really care whether they're using 10 syringes because they just keep chucking them away? Or I don't know. I'm giving random examples.
Yeah.
But the inefficiency is too much, and that's burdening the taxpayer. Yeah.
How do we fix it then? I think I like if we turn on the optimism here a little bit. How do we fix it? How do we incentivize people to care? What if everybody got, and this will never happen, but what if everybody got some sort of like tax rebate or like some sort of do you know what I'm trying to get
what
at?
If they didn't use it?
No, if they were more efficient, because I agree with you, especially during the vaccine rollouts. So like a large portion of vaccines weren't used up in one part of the country, and there was a shortage in other parts. And then when you even take that internationally, developing countries couldn't even get hold of the vaccine, and we're throwing away millions. It was in the millions, I think, which was just crazy to me.
How do we fix it?
Yeah, because you're right. In a business, like, we care if 2p goes missing.
Yeah,
I mean, not that extreme, but
but we do. Right? We like to think we are.
Yeah.
Whereas there's absolutely zero incentive from anyone within the NHS to make the numbers add up.
Yeah.
And I understand that, because it's not a business.
Yeah.
It's simply an organization that's given a pot of money, and it's to allocate it in the best means. And to be honest, it's incentivized to actually overspend so that it doesn't lose its budget.
Right,
Which again is in the wrong way. So a lot of people talk about a hybrid.
Yeah, I was just about to ask. Places like Spa Medica.
Yeah,
like
some privatization. Whilst it's great in theory, when you try and hybrid state, or I keep saying state, but kind of state-run organization with business, this can lead to a lot of corruption, or some level of corruption. It happens in all countries, not just the UK. Where those that aren't out for efficiency are kind of siphoned out by those that are out for efficiency and bottom line. Those that have contacts within the government and try and get contracts. So this happened with PPE. PPE was kind of given out to these private companies and said, "I'll bring out the best pricing." But because of price fixing and so on, and the ability to know those people in government who just wanted to look out for their best interests, it led to a lot of inefficiencies and overpaying and corruption. So I mean, this is happening with the GPs. So GP practices, they're privately run. So they're businesses. They didn't used to be. They used to be all part of the NHS.
Is that why they've all fallen to?
Well, what, the GP practices?
In my opinion, they've become terrible.
Well, that's on the individual GP practices. But the idea here was some of them are fantastic because they look out for individual kind of private individual business benefits. So if you take your local GP practice based over here, they're a mini business operating, so they're not connected. So they're run and they're coordinated by what you call, I believe, CCGs. So like a governing body, but they run it themselves. There's a few kind of partners that run it together, and you have multiple ones all over the country.
Like a franchise?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But the issue is, again, those guys are making money off the NHS inefficiencies in some way. So the NHS gives a pot out. There's no requirement for a certain amount. So the NHS will say, if you take blood pressures, you're going to get an extra £10 or so on. And it's all money that's coming from the NHS. And those that are a little bit, nifty may find a way to... So doesn't this happen
at like private places where, you go to a private place and then you go through your insurance. Yeah. And the guy is like, or the doctor's like, all right, well, let me take your blood pressure. Let me give you an extra scan because you can claim a little bit more off the insurance. Is that
absolutely. But the thing is, the insurance is a private-run company. Yeah. Like the insurance company cares about its bottom line. Okay. So yes, you'll get a doctor who will say, let me take your bloods and so on. Didn't really need to happen. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like any insurance company, they're not going to make a loss.
Right. So the NHS is probably just going to be like, I take your word for it. He needed a blood pressure test. But the insurance company is going to be like, did you really need 4 scans for someone with...
This is it. And they'll start to look at certain doctors and they'll say, we've done an audit and something's not adding up here. Yeah. So that doctor probably made a little bit on a couple. Whereas in the NHS, it's almost no questions asked. Just go with it. Yeah. And again, I'm exaggerating to a certain extent. Yes, there are NHS audits. Yes, there are checkups. But... people are driven by incentives, and there's no incentive to make the numbers add up. Yeah, which is a big issue. So that's one of my concerns, but I see some optimism there in the UK in that sense. And the issue is, I mean, we look at the US health system. It's not great either, man.
No. I did not want to point to them and say, look at this shining example.
And then Germany's got a hybrid system, which apparently is good, but it's not fantastic either. Okay. So there's this issue because it's kind of created a 2-tier system where if you've got a bit of money, you go ahead of everyone else, right? Which is fine, but again, people have their issues with that. So yeah, all in all, I'm continuously going through this. I don't know. I've looked at a few like other countries, but you know, at the end of the day, systems are different. I find in the UK, things just tend to work. We have our complaints.
Yeah, they don't work as well as we'd like them to, but they do. No, they do fundamentally
they
work.
Function. Yeah. And that's something we take for granted.
But isn't that just us becoming complacent?
What, with the fact we like them, or
we're like, it just works. You know?
No, it's when you go to somewhere else. So I've gone, you go on holiday. I say, for example, one of my friends moved to New York recently, and again, New York, you'd think outstanding, everything works, and they said to set up a bank account. You know how modern day apps, even you go on a Lloyd's app, you can set up your account online through the app or
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah,
I hate old school banks, but
but you don't have to go into branch anymore. Whereas in America, in certain certainly all the major banks, you have to go into branch, you have to send a bank letter. There's a very old school process that exists in such a modern country.
Right.
And she said the system it's strange. You're out there and you're like, how is this still going on? There's so much red tape everywhere, and it's stuff we take for granted because our system's not great here, but it is pretty easy. On the whole. So these are things that I'm just kind of just thinking about, and that's why when people really kind of talk rubbish about this country, I think it's important. It's important not to get complacent that things are fine, but I think there is a level of you haven't seen the rest of the world. What's going on. Yeah.
I definitely haven't, and I'm very keen to. Hence Paris. I'll compare when I come back. I'll be like, this is what this is what. Depending on this hernia situation. Before? Yeah, when I was a kid, tiny kid. I don't remember any of it. I remember this long stretch of road and then just like street lamps. Yeah, and I was like, this is actually really pretty. And that's all I remember from that trip. I remember Disneyland. My parents took me to it. My mum took me to Disneyland. Yeah. When was the last time you went?
Maybe 10, 12 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Very wide streets. I love that.
Yeah.
Very Parisian. Well, it's Parisian style streets.
Yeah.
Which,
can I just say, I only recently learned Parisian is like...
Oh, you just thought it was a thing.
This podcast needs to come out next week now because I can't have people in Paris. But yeah, Parisian. I'm not willing to admit when I learned that the Roman Empire was from Rome. I'm not willing to admit that. No, I really didn't.
You know something else that I was thinking about with the UK?
Yeah.
If we're going on a UK thing is
we
play road tax here, right?
Yeah.
A lot of countries don't do that. Why? You fed up with road tax?
No, I'm fed up with the roads sucking.
Yeah, right. But do they suck that? Well, they do these days compared to other countries. But you go to other countries and you have to pay a toll every time you go on like a turnpike or a motorway.
Yeah.
Certainly in the US, you have to pay this thing called Easy Pass or something.
Yeah, there's loads of countries that do this.
Yeah. We don't have that in the UK.
No.
We used to.
Yeah.
But they removed that for the road tax.
Don't get me started on this.
Okay.
I technically own at least one metal beam from the Dartford crossing. I swear down, I didn't pay a £2.50 charge and they got me for £425 worth of fees.
Right. Could you imagine if that was everywhere though? Toll roads everywhere. You want to go to London? You're gonna have to pay.
Okay, but do you know what? Let's get into this because I did that drive yesterday. I drove through the Dartford Tunnel. On Saturday, I drove over the bridge.
How much was the Dartford Tunnel?
£2.50 each way.
Okay.
Not really terrible. I don't mind paying it, but why is it on me? Nobody sends me an invoist that I need to pay.
Yeah,
right? It's just this like, let's hope he forgets so we can charge him a crap ton of money. It's the same thing with, just like it all feels like a scam to me.
Would you prefer like a kind of bars and then...
like a thing. Yeah. Or ideally, just a letter. So like I drive past it, they send me a letter or a text. They have all my contact details.
Yeah.
I don't care what they say. You've got it. Do you know why?
Yeah.
Because when I didn't pay my Dartford crossing for 2 years, they called me. I'm like, oh, now you call me when I've racked up a fat bill.
How much is the fine?
I think it's like £50.
Just because you forget to say you left it a week.
Yeah.
Pay £50.
It's £50, and then they send letter after letter after letter. Then they send a bailiff round, and then finally they call you.
Oh. You've been through it all.
Sorry?
You've been through it all?
Yeah, because I didn't update my address. So they're sending bailiffs around to my old house. And then suddenly, when I have a £400 bill, they call me. So I said, why didn't you call me earlier? And they were like, it's not standard process. I'm like, but I'm here. You got hold of me. It's not like I called them and they had my number. They had my number all along. And it's the same thing. So they have my number. Why don't they just shoot me a text?
Yeah.
All automated, by the way. I'm not expecting old Linda on a laptop every time someone crosses, like, oh, that number plate. Automated. They have AMPR all over the place. Send me a text saying, you owe us £2.50 because you crossed the Dartford charge.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to pay you. Why is it this way? Well, how many fines do you think they would dish out if they did it my way?
Yeah, sure.
Right? Because I have it there.
So you think they're doing it on purpose?
I genuinely do. I genuinely believe there are more speed cameras at the bottom of a hill than there are on flat roads. Your parents' house, when you drive from your parents' house to here, what is there at the bottom of that hill, that 40-mile-an-hour stretch of road? There's this camera there. And it's an average speed limit the whole time.
Yeah.
So you constantly have to hover on the brake, but then there's an additional speed camera at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're on that impression that speed cameras are out there to get more fines?
I genuinely, I don't believe in speed cameras. I really don't. I don't believe in average speed checks. I think if you want to enforce speeding, Oh, go on.
No, enforce speeding?
Sorry, enforce speed limits. Sorry.
Yeah.
If you want to enforce speed limits, that's fine. But it all feels like a scam to me. Speed cameras, this whole system. Even more so that I genuinely think is really, really dangerous is when you have those average speed checks because there's people working on doing roadworks. Because you have to maintain it at 50. Yeah. Don't forget, it's not 50 for that stretch where the camera is. They do average speed checks. So you have to make sure you didn't speed at any point in time, which is fine. Except you have to hover at 50 the entire duration, which is unsafe because lorries sometimes do 55.
But that's okay from what I've heard, as long as they slow down.
How do you mean? Yeah,
so,
I mean...
say they go 55 to overtake.
Yeah.
Then as long as they slow down, maybe go to 45.
Yeah.
Then it averages out, right?
But if you're in a small car and a lorry's beaming past you at 55, or you've got them tailgating you, and this happens, I'm going to buy a camera on my car to show you. Not just you, but the world. Yeah. They tailgate you when you're doing 50. And they'll beep at you, and I've seen people get intimidated. I refuse. I just stay in my spot. There's loads of situations where you need to speed a little bit.
Yeah.
For example, when you're overtaking, or when you're, this constantly staring at 50. Do you know how many times I've gone to check to see I'm doing 50, and looked up and had to swerve?
So what would be your answer then?
What would be my answer?
Because I thought they enforce average speed for that very reason. Because had they just had loads of random speed cameras at every point, that would go against what you're saying. That would be a difficult one because you literally can't speed. Whereas in the average speed, I believe that if you do speed up a little bit, there's a bit of room.
Well, not necessarily, because there is a difference here. If there are three check marks, 1, 2, 3, if you speed up here, you better have, I think this is how it works. Yeah. You better have slowed down by there. And again, they're not that far apart.
Sure.
And the problem is if you're doing 50, 50, 50, and then a lorry comes up alongside you and you need to make sure you're speed matching so that they don't squash you into the barrier, then you speed up there, you go to 55, then your average speed was, 54, 53, whatever it was. And I know this because here's the thing. Sometimes you get stuck in a traffic jam. You get stuck at a traffic jam right at the start.
Yeah.
So you're doing, on average, probably 10 miles an hour. For a good 2 to 3 miles. Yeah. Does that mean I can bomb it at 70 down the rest of it? True. Is that safe for the workers now all of a sudden?
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, how are we on? How are we doing for time?
We should wrap up soon, but we got a bit.
Okay, give me your number one problem that you think the UK needs to fix right now.
The number one problem that the UK needs to fix now. Have you got one for this?
Yeah, I mean, we've spoken about the NHS, but anything just pinpointing that's really annoying you. I think potholes, for example.
Yeah.
Potholes is
that's the thing.
Big thing. But that will always be a thing.
That will always be a thing. Okay. I'm contemplating whether I get into this because I think it's a problem much more obvious in America. But I think there's essence of it here, which is the balance of the types of businesses in different areas of a city. So, I grew up in a part of Manchester that, was notoriously quite rough. Loads of council estates. And now that it's sort of gentrified, the whole place looks completely different. suddenly there's flower beds.
Yeah.
Suddenly there are, more upmarket supermarkets. There is more local businesses. But then when you drive through the city, and this is going to really trigger some racists, when you drive through the city where it's typically immigrants, there aren't these options there. It's typically fast food chains. It's, again, there's way more potholes. There's an area of Manchester called Rusholme, also known as the Curry Mile, I believe. And if you drive through there, just not even that road's okay, because again, that area is becoming gentrified, because it's cheap to live there and a lot of people are moving there. But on the way to it, there's like a gap of road. I think it's technically Fallowfield, but as you drive along there, that road is torn to pieces. Yeah, like it's genuinely like you feel like you're in a third world country. And again, flower beds were put in Chorlton before those roads were fixed. Right. Again, probably I don't understand the politics and the different council budgets and how they're sort of distributed, but there's just these observations. So if I was to fix something in this country that I think would go a long way, and this is kind of going off of a theory from a different podcast, where in order to fix the bigger world problems, everybody's quality of life needs to reach a certain point where they don't worry about the small problems. Sure. Nobody cares about recycling if you're struggling to feed your family. Yeah, it kind of follows that logic. So I think the smallest thing that we can change to have the biggest knock-on effect is that. So, poorer communities and like councils, I'll call them like by the councils, or boroughs, I think is the right name. Poorer boroughs have better access, nicer places like nicer parks, or potentially healthier food options or things like that. And I think that will start to like step ladder up to building a better world. Wild theory I'm throwing out.
It's a great point. I mean, there's two parts there. You said better parks, which is obviously the government's thing, and then you said businesses, which is businesses. Yeah. Now businesses are incentivized to make money where possible. So say a healthy brunch place were to open up, they could open up in a certain area, but they'd need to see that there was potential for them to make a return. Yeah. Whereas they probably don't, because they think maybe the income's not there or the taste for this kind of food isn't there. Yeah. But I guess what you're trying to say is maybe the government needs to come in to just push things along a little bit to incentivize the others to come along.
Yeah, maybe.
And then let the free market do its thing.
Yeah. Because I think, again, this is why I said it's a lot more obvious in America, because I think when you go to rougher parts of America, suddenly you see different supermarkets. Yeah. And I believe like banks just don't exist there. Right. They're in different like areas of the city where more affluent people. So they don't have access to open a bank account, to build a credit score, to buy a house. Or again, it's the supermarkets that they have access. It's more Trader Joe's and less Walmart. So I don't think that's as obvious in the UK, and that kind of adds to your argument of things aren't that bad here. Yeah, we're already at a level of pretty decent. I do agree with that.
But there is still plenty of work to be done.
Yeah, somebody who understands sociology a lot better than me will probably be able to explain it. But it's a theory I heard on an American podcast that I've started to see signs of it in the UK.
Yeah. The issue as well, though, is if you were to take it the other way, that people think by you trying to improve it, that leads to gentrification, which some people think is good and some people think is bad.
That's where I bring in someone like you to fix the economy.
And then what? And then we're good.
Well, you'll fix inflation. I'm so confident in your ability, in your economic. You'll fix inflation, and
then we're good.
And then we're good. Yeah, like I don't know. Do you ever wonder if a big part of the appeal of the UK for immigrants was the good economy? You can come in here, work at a decent rate, and buy yourself a house, and like build yourself a bit of a situation,
Yeah, for sure. I think definitely the economy. I think it's there's a lot of things where there's not accessibility things. You say you go to certain areas, there's a lack of accessibility. But I think immigrants often see the UK as more of a free playing field, whereas you go to certain other countries. I take India, for example, and it's very much, unless you're in a certain gated segment of society or class of society, it's very hard to chop and change between the two. It's very difficult. Whereas in the UK, by no means it's perfect, by no means it's the imagination. Yeah. But there is a sense of hope that people can progress and they can develop and get themselves out of where they are. And yeah, I think that's one of the biggest attractions, not just the economy. Yeah, it's that ability. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, that's all I got, dude.
Very good. But yeah, if you've enjoyed listening to...
Hold on. Do you want to do an intro?
Yes. We could have done that.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah. What episode are we at?
Yeah, that one.
If you've enjoyed listening to episode 8 of the Feel Good Inc. podcast, I almost forgot what we're called. Don't forget to subscribe, do what you can do to support this channel, to support Sam, to support myself and everyone at WP. But yes, please do comment on whatever you want to listen to next. If you enjoyed this, if you didn't, it really means everything to us. See you next time.